Okay, in today's lecture, we are studying mainly about the proteomics and its application in the field of life science. Okay, so the terms proteomics we have studied earlier that it's a generally proteome. Okay, proteome means it's all set of protein that translated or that expressed in a individual organism or a individual cell. Okay, so this has been a main functional unit of organisms. Okay, function. So basically, protein is the main or is the ultimate source of any individual organism's metabolism. Okay, so that's why we use protein as an important part in the study of proteomics. Okay, it's the interdisciplinary domain. Again, I would say that it is interdisciplinary because it deals with more than one discipline. Okay, so that's why it's called as interdisciplinary. So the word protein is a blend of protein and genomes. Okay, so it's basically the blend of protein and genome because it's correlated. The protein and the genome is correlated due to the process of gene expression and the central dogma through the central dogma. And the term was firstly coined by Mark Wilkins in 1994. Okay, the term proteome is firstly coined by Mark Wilkins in 1994. Before that, it generally called as the protein study. Okay. So as you all know, proteome is a set of proteins that is expressed in an organism by its genome. Okay. So proteome is generally a set of all the expressed proteins in an organism. So the function of protein not only depends on its nucleotide sequence, but also dependent on post-translation modification. Okay. So the function after the translation process, the function of protein is dependent on the post-translation modification, the splicing and all process. So the functional protein is basically after the modification, the functional protein is formed and it is used uh, as a product in the metabolism of cell. Okay. So the first studies of proteins that could be regarded as proteomics. So the first studies 19 started in 1975, and then it's basically carried out in the Escherichia coli, that is the E. coli bacterium. Okay. So at that time, this 2D gel and this mapping of protein is carried out only on the basis of the X-ray diffraction and all these methods. Okay, those are the traditional method of structural and sequential analysis of protein. So that's how we are dealing with at that time. After the evolution of different techniques of genomics and proteomics, improved. And the methods of studying protein. So when we are dealing with the protein, we need to deal with different techniques that analyze or analyze the structure and sequence of the protein. Okay, so on that basis, we generally characterize or generally differentiate between this methodology on the basis of protein detection with antibodies and antibody-free protein detection. Okay, so these are the basically two different methods on the basis of use of antibodies that are classified. Okay, so can anyone tell me that what is the charge on protein? प्रोटीनवर कोणता चार्ज असतो? So basically protein is completely means its structure is basically depend on amino acids. So that's why the charge on amino acid generally different on different amino acids. Okay, so that's why protein has a not a uniform charge. Okay, protein does not have any uniform charge. That's why protein we need to, when we are studying protein, we need to means the SDS based technology, we need to uniform or we need to add some chemical to do should have uniform charge in itself. Okay, so that's why this protein contains many amino acids. That's why it does not contain any specific charge. Okay. So there is specific terminology that is isoelectric focusing, and this isoelectric focusing mainly depend on the Ritter ions. Okay, so the Ritter ions generally that changes the charge with the pH level. Okay, on the basis of that we can study the protein structure. Okay, so this method depend on antibodies and without antibodies. So these are the two generally methods to identify or detect the protein. Okay, so these are the method for detection of protein, not for the further sequence or structural analysis of proteins. Okay, so this is on the basis of protein detection with antibodies. You have earlier studied the ELISA technology. So ELISA technology is basically depend on this identification of protein on the basis of antibodies and antigens. Okay, so after that this high throughput proteomics technology that evolved after this basic antibody basis or immunological basis techniques. After this high throughput techniques were developed. In that, the first one is mass spectrometry and protein profiling that we are studying in. We will study in further our lectures, and then protein chips and reverse phase protein microarrays. Okay, so these are some technologies that generally analyze the protein structure and sequence. Okay, so there are basically different principle of this technology. On the basis of that, they study the protein and they profile the protein. Okay, so that's how we can detect the protein structure and sequence. Okay, so the first one is mass spectrometry. It depends on the mass and charge ratio, and on the basis of that, it after in this machinery, it generally form the shape or the graphical presentation. On the basis of that, we can detect the shape of that protein or the structure of protein or the sequence also. In protein chips, it generally depend on the hybridization process. Okay. Okay. Then next one is the detection method. For the detection, we need to do the mass spectrometry based techniques. Okay. So there are many ion separation techniques, and then this MILDI is a ion separation techniques. Okay, ionization techniques. But the mass spectrometry is a common techniques in the protein analysis. Okay, here you can see that this presentation of mass spectrometry. Here you can see that the sample induction from the site, and then this heater or vaporizer or the ionization of the particle. Then the ionization is carried out, and then this ion just accelerated or speedily transferred through this accelerated chamber. Okay, then accelerated chamber. This accelerated ions are generally in magnetic regions. They are separated on the basis of charges. Okay, and this on the basis of charges separated and then detected at this detector. So this is the basic technique, or this is basic flow chart of this techniques. Then they did this detector generally shows the presentation on the basis of mass to charge ratio. Okay. So this technique is generally dependent on the mass to charge ratio, and the charge is separated in this magnetic regions. Okay, because the ions just got this the molecule get ionized, and after that this accelerated ions generally separated on the basis of charge at this magnetic chamber. Okay, and then the separation that detected on the basis of mass also. Okay, so this graphical representation on this detector just represent the structure of that protein. Okay, then there is separation methods also. So while dealing with the protein or proteome, we need to separate the proteome on the basis of its charges. Okay. So when we are separating these proteins, we need to do some methodology to separate. So when the evolution of this proteomics or proteomics, so at that time, this one-dimensional or two-dimensional separation techniques were performed. So at that time, means there was no three-dimensional structure analysis. Okay, so that's why we need to do the uh, traditional gel electrophoresis. On the basis of that, they carried out this one-dimensional, two-dimensional electrophoresis. At that point, this protein was separated on the basis of mass. Okay, only mass and charge. Okay, so when we are doing electrophoresis, we need to do means we need to prepare a gel, then we need to add that sample into our gel sample, uh, gel wells. Okay, then we separate it on the basis of mass. Okay, so basically that time protein also separated on the general uh, these techniques, but at that time they were using a page. Okay, polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. That means polyacrylamide gel, because it's basically a complex structure, and it does have low pore size. Okay, as compared to agarose, it has a low pore size. That's why it's used in protein analysis. Okay, protein gel electrophoresis. So after this one-dimensional, two-dimensional separation, there are many techniques evolved to study the three-dimensional structure also. So in this method, we generally separate a sample, okay, on the basis of mass and charge. Okay, then the bioinformatics and proteomics parts. So after the collection of different collection of data from different experiments, just like as X-ray crystallography also, or X-ray diffraction, just after collection of the structural and sequential data from these experiments, the scientist has evolved or scientist developed a database for the analysis of this, or analysis of the, or the database at the depository for this experimental analysis. Okay, so this depository generally evolved after a time. Okay, so firstly there was mainly simple database available on this bioinformatics tools. Then after this complex database and this software tools evolved, so those help in the experimentals. Okay, so for the protein, it's generally Uniport, that is the main source, and then the Swissport. Those are the sources for the proteomic study. Okay, then the XPASI is also it is XPASI is generally a portal that developers that store by the Swiss bioinformatics. I think so. Swiss bioinformatics institution. They store this XPASI database, and they all are interlinked. Okay, Swissport and all this, they are all are interlinked. Basically, these are the secondary database, I think. On the basis of that, they study or they analyze the database that come from primary uh, bioinformatics tools. Okay. Okay. Then the in the process of identification of protein, there are mainly these are the main database for the identification of protein, and UniProt and ProCite are one of the most important protein database that study where we can study the algorithm of proteins. In that we can do comparative genomics also, comparative proteomics also. For that purpose, we need to compare the sequence of protein also. So these are the some important tools in the term of protein identification. So these are the all bioinformatics tools that we need to study. Okay. So after this means these are the result of what we study earlier, because we have studied this protein structure and all this uh, all the analysis of protein. After that we can store this data in our biological database. Okay. So for the purpose of protein structure, we need to study the actual amino acid sequence. So traditionally, they are mainly the method depends on the physical methods. Okay. So first one is X-ray crystallography, and second one is NMR spectroscopy. Okay. So traditionally there is only one method. Okay, at that time, the first one, that is X-ray crystallography, was there. This NMR spectroscopy evolved at in modern times. Okay. So the X-ray crystallography experiments generally detect the steady structure of the proteins. Okay. So protein mainly has four type of structure, that is primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Okay. So the 3D structure, three-dimensional structure, that generally has many loops and all, and this rotation angles and all, that can be studied by this method. Okay, extra crystallography. So protein generally has in secondary structure, it has beta sheet and okay, all that kind of holdings. In 3D structure, all these side chains of proteins in protein structure, that side chains are generally joined to the amino acid sequence. Those side chains are generally linked with the with each other. That's how they can form the loops. Okay. So on that basis, these are separated on the basis of that. Okay. So protein 3D structure, all of you know what is a protein 3D structure. Basically, what is the difference between linear or one dimensional, two dimensional, three dimensional structure? Okay, so this is one of the most important techniques nowadays, because we need to study the ultimate outcome of what we are doing in the life science. Okay, because when we are doing genetic transfer, also we need to study the protein that the gene expresses. Okay, so all we know that the protein has a important metabolism. So that's why we need to study the protein nowadays. In a, so that's why it's also emerging trends in nowadays. Okay.